So, is alt season cooling off, or is it just reloading for a bigger leg up? There is some stuff happening. Bitcoin is giving us some warning signs. The macro side of it is relatively bullish. But we do need to go a little bit deeper in terms of what is happening this week, which is probably why we've got a bit of a jittery market. But let's break it all down because it is quite obvious to tell. The markets don't like uncertainty, and there could be a few things that throw a little bit of a curveball. So drop a like if you are trading altcoins or if you're looking to get the next move. But more importantly, leave a comment. Do you think alt season started, or is it just going to fade away? I think the key decision happens tomorrow. Now, you can look at this at two ways. You can look at the fact that Bitcoin is cooling off and it's crap, or you can look at it in terms of, oh my God, we've got a lot of data this week. We need to kind of wait and see what's happening. Bitcoin has rejected that level, but it is kind of slowing down and chilling out and relaxing. Nothing's crazy yet. I think people have got a little bit too upset by the fact that there's no big pump. I've been talking a lot about alt seasons, and I do think there is one round the corner, not too far away, but we've got to get this kind of elephant out the room, which is the Fed rate cut, which we will talk about. But Bitcoin being here isn't terrible, and I'll look at the other macro stuff in a second. But as I've alluded to it, we have a Fed decision tomorrow, but I'm not bothered about this. This doesn't bother me. I think it'll be a pause, kind of obvious. The thing that I'm more worried about is what Mr. Powell is going to say. His tone, his tie. What's he going to say? Is he dovish? Is he hawkish? Whatever. So we've got to look at that situation. And when you think about the Donald Trump administration, he's had his feet under the table a little bit longer now. We'll see what happens. So this is we're starting to get to the crux of it now. So we'll see where it goes. But if it is a very weird tone, we don't know what's going to happen with the certain things in the economic climate, especially what Donald Trump wants to kind of give us in terms of tariffs, whatever. It may be a very bearish sort of tone. So just be mindful of that. So that's interesting. But this is kind of like a typical pause phase before the big announcement, the big reveal, and Bitcoin deciding whether to break out or take a breather. And that really does matter for altcoins, because if Bitcoin, let's just say, drops quite a bit, the altcoin's going to get hurt. If not, it might be totally fine. But also, I've talked about it, Bitcoin needs breathers to allow altcoins to breathe. If the news is relatively good and Bitcoin isn't on a horrendous run, a big run, for example, altcoins may well get that breather and they may well catch up. Now, the eagle-eyed viewers, if you follow me on X, and you should be, you will know I did a tweet about history repeating. We are on a pause a little bit with altcoins currently, probably because of the same factors I just mentioned in terms of we've got a rate cut potentially, and also, a rate pause more to the point, but more what is Powell going to say? What is the other data going to come out? And there's other data coming out too. So what this is kind of done, I think we are going to complete the same pattern as before. Let me explain. Now, this is going to be important. We're probably going to go up before we go down. We've had a change of character completely in the dominance, and we have dropped and we're below everything. And that is a real big signifying situation of a potential reversal signal. It doesn't mean let's go. It just means just watch and shoot, right? What's happened in the past is we've had the same sort of situation here. We pulled back and then we pulled up again and then we nuked, but we also pulled back up again. We literally looks like a carbon copy, an absolute carbon copy. And if we are going to go and pull up into this region, we could get the exact same result, potentially. Now, this is all technical analysis, all based on probability, but that looks very, very similar. So that is where I'm kind of looking at this whole formation, thinking, you know what? If we've had a change of character, if the trend is starting to go bearish, we're going to probably get a retest. There's probably going to be a bounce, but ultimately, there's a lot of comments in my YouTube saying, I have no idea what I'm talking about, but people are getting it wrong. To get a signifying signal that we're going to get an all season, this is the one that needs to drop. Everyone's going, oh, but you should be looking at others.btc. But the others.btc is like the low caps. That's the end of the rally. We need to look at that for the end. This is a start you need to look for. So if this is going to start trending down, now this is if, but maybe it's probably, I know. Dominance is still high. Bitcoin is still strong. If Bitcoin stays the same and altcoins push back a little bit and start to get a breather, we're going to get a mini bounce, and that's going to give us a alt season. Not the alt seasons of old. I do apologize, I know, but it's just the way it is. But you've also got to look at the fact of the total market cap. So total market cap, total 3, for example, right? we're still at this kind of interesting point where we have actually had a little bit of a change of structure a little bit. We've blasted through here. Now we need a change of character in the big level here, obviously, right? But it won't take long for this to bounce, realistically, in terms of that situation, if we get a bit of an upthrust. Likewise, if we're looking at the sort of 2/BTC, yes, it's still down here. It looks awful, doesn't it? But realistically, we're not gauging it off just that alone. We're looking at where the liquidity is going to go. The liquidity actually might go into Bitcoin, then it might rotate into altcoins for obvious reasons. So yes, I can see how this is bearish. We do not have our ducks in a row, but we have a couple of them in a row, which is very, very, very important. The main chart we need to focus on, more to the point, is this one. This one's the one that we need to start seeing first. Liquidity returning into positions. That's the first step before anything else. If everything else starts to rotate, awesome. The thing is, and I've often said this, people get very pissy when you're early to moves or late to moves, right? I was early taking profits years ago. I got a lot of shit for it. Turned out I was right. I'm getting the same sort of shit now because I'm showing you that this is like a first step. I think the bearish side of it is no one wants to believe that we could bounce. Now, obviously, we could bounce here. We might not bounce. But would you rather be a little bit early to understand and watch it before the retail come back? Because I am going to talk about retail in a minute. They're not back yet. I know you guys are still here, but would you rather be positioned quite safely? Which doesn't mean buy now, by the way. Just not financial advice, of course, but don't buy now. What I'm saying is there's a potential opportunity here where if this rotates and we do downtrend, money's going to flow into the crypto market again. To kind of back this up a little bit as well, the Ethereum dominance chart and the Ethereum BTC chart has really kind of stopped. I know that's a bit wishy-washy, but there's no clear rotation yet, but there is a clear sign that the sellers may be kind of exhausted. So yeah, Bitcoin a little bit indecisive, stable currencies rising a little bit, altcoins are a little bit shaky, but this isn't just a rug, it's just a breather. It's just how long does it take realistically? And I know people are going to be screaming going, but the Bitcoin dominance is high. Yes, it is, but don't use this alone, okay? We need money to rotate into the market, create a bit of interest, and then we may well see that this could drop a little bit. But if you watch my content, you'll know that I don't think this is going to drop that much. You'll still get a bit of a bounce in altcoins, especially on some of the top ones. But I think the days of like everything going to the moon, probably over. And I mentioned before about retail, and they're not here yet. I know that, that's quite obvious. But realistically, I said it before, would you rather be in before the herd come? Yes. Would you rather be positioned before the herd come? Yes, obviously, right? But the thing is, we do have a situation where we have to wait for the traditional market to do something, and that is rate cuts. Liquidity and the whole point around it with QT and everything, and everyone's argument about that, yeah, great. But the crypto market is more like the traditional market than it is like gold. It needs interest, and that's kind of the obvious in the room here. If we get some really good speaking words from Mr. Powell, it might well create a bit of a spark. And that might well allow that trend to kick down the road and allow altcoin money rotation to come in because it's giving opportunities where it's, it's low. Altcoins have slowly bounced. Some of them have bounced, right? It's there in the charts. Just not enough for people to take notice yet. But the next leg, it might be. And then you're probably going to be starting to scramble. But it's okay if you scramble. It's when the next couple of legs and we do get a bigger bounce and we start, for example, as I alluded to before, we start seeing, say, the stable currency dominance going towards these like yellow boxes down here into the 5-6% or whatever, or even 4%, you're going to see retail rotate in. Okay. So yeah, we're very, very, very early. I'm not saying buy into altcoins right now. I'm just saying keep an eye on it because you never know. I did say at the start of the video, some of the macro stuff looks very interesting and bullish. The dollar is still looking relatively weak. It's dropped a lot, certainly over the course of the year. The S&P 500, for example, has bounced relatively strong versus what people would expect. Yes, you could probably argue it's probably going to retrace right now, which is fair enough. But again, it all hinges on what's going to be said tomorrow. What if some good things are said? But if Bitcoin breaks clean, altcoins could pop. It might be selective. Not everything will move, but you need some sort of plan. And I'm basically giving you a bit of a plan here. Keep an eye on it. So yeah, alt season technically isn't over until the fat lady sings, or Mr. Powell sings, so to speak. It's not easy mode. The days of being easy in the market are long, long gone, by the way, just saying. But yeah, if you want more content from me, certainly more technical analysis, jump in my Patreon. There's a link below. And yeah, Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content, but more importantly, watch the video I'm recommending. Probably help you.